little baguettes, welcome to l'Académie Équilibre, your go-to place to make French way easier. So today we're tackling pronominal verbs in French. You know, those weird verbs with the me, the and sir before them. So don't worry, they'll look tricky, but we're gonna make them super easy. So let's get started then. So we're gonna start with the very basic thing, that is, what is a verb? First we'll understand that, then we'll come to what is a pronominal verb. Now verb is any action, right? So for example, I eat, right? Eat is an action. To sleep, to walk, to go, all of those are actions. That's what we call a verb. Now in French, we have 3 groups of verb, right? That means every single verb in French has to end with one of these 3. Alright? Now, what is pronominal, which is pronominal in English? So pronominal, it actually has to do with pronoun. So we're talking about verbs that relate to pronouns. Now, what does that exactly mean? We'll come to that in a second. But before, you need to understand that pronominal verbs are nothing different. Okay, they are still part of the ER, IR, and RE group. So they still come under these 3. They have the same meaning, that we're talking about actions, and they'll end from ER, IR, or RE. But then what is the difference? It is a subcategory. It comes under it. So you can also say these are special kinds of verbs. What's so special about them is that they talk about specific actions. Okay, now this action is specific. So they describe things where the subject does the action on himself or herself. Okay, so subject is your person, right? And action, whatever they're doing, that they're doing to themselves. Okay, so the action is done by the subject and it is also done on themselves. What does that mean? For example, if we talk about waking up or sleeping, to sleep, right? Or to brush one's teeth. All of these are nothing but pronominal verbs in French. Why? Because who is waking up? For example, I'm waking up, right? And I'm doing that to myself. Who is sleeping? I'm sleeping. And I'm doing that again to myself. So the action is done by me to me. Okay, for example, he is brushing his teeth, right? So, whose teeth are they? His teeth. Who is brushing them? He is doing it. That means it is a pronominal verb. It is still an action, but the action is related to you. So now what is the difference between a normal verb versus a pronominal verb? A normal sentence looks something like this. You have your subject, you have your verb, and you have your object. That is your rest of the sentence. So for instance, je finis mon travail. Okay. Now who is doing the work? You are doing the work. You finished the work. But the action is on the work. The work is being finished. So you have your subject, your verb, and your rest of the sentence, that is your object. Now for pronominal verb, there's one extra thing in a sentence. What is that? Now you'll see one extra thing here that I've highlighted. Everything is same, right? What is the difference? That we have this extra thing called your pronoun, which is your pronoun. That is why we call this a pronominal sentence. Now I'll tell you what a pronoun is. So this helps you identify that the subject is doing the action on themselves, right? It may be like myself, yourself, hisself, herself, right? So the pronoun indicates that we're talking about actions done by the person on themselves. So it comes between the subject and the verb. How do we write it in French? So these are your pronouns I'll be giving to you. So for each subject, we use a different pronoun. With je, you have me. With tu, it is te. With il or elle, it is se. With nous, it is nous. With vous, again vous. And with il, pluriel, that is they, it is again se. These are your pronouns, right? All of them are your pronouns. So when you place it before your verb, it indicates that we're talking about pronominal verbs. So maybe here you can say it stands for myself, right? I myself wake up, or you yourself wake up. Or for se, he himself wakes up, she herself walks, right? Now here both are same, but the first nous will be your subject, that is the person, and the second nous of the sentence will be your pronoun, that is ourself. Again, same thing for vous as well. First vous is your person, second vous is your pronoun, that is yourself. And here again, Same thing, that means themselves. Now a little modification you will do, because we're putting it before a verb, and a verb can start with a vowel, right? So these end with a vowel, and if your verb starts with a vowel, it will cause a vowel clash. So we change it up a little. It has the same meaning, but you have to modify it. So it becomes M apostrophe, T apostrophe, S apostrophe. With nu and vu, no problem because it does not end with a vowel. And again, S apostrophe. Now we'll actually put it in a sentence and understand. So to wake up, it is the verb se réveiller. We'll try to conjugate this in present tense. So this is my verb. Now another thing that you need to know, that when the verb is not conjugated with any subject, so when it is in its infinitive form, that is not conjugated, there also you need to place a pronoun. Here se will be there. And for every time the verb is in its infinitive, we're going to place se there. So se réveiller, se coucher, or even se promener, all of this shows that your verb is pronominal. Otherwise, how else would you identify whether it is or not? Now coming on to the conjugation part. Now you conjugate it normally the way you do. The way you conjugate er verbs, ir verbs, re verbs, since pronominal verbs also come under that category. The only difference is the actions are specific to the person and we place the pronoun between the subject and the verb. Otherwise, conjugation is the same. So it is an er verb. Je réveille. Tu réveilles. Nous réveillons. Vous réveillez. Il, elle réveille. Now you'll see the conjugation is completely normal. I did what we do generally. Now I left the space here because we're going to place the pronoun. So je, it becomes je me réveille. I wake myself up. Then tu te réveilles. You yourself wake up. Il, elle se réveille. He or she wakes herself or himself up. Then nous, nous réveillons. Vous, vous réveillez. And il, elle se réveille. Same thing if we do it with a verb that starts from a vowel. For example, se habiller, to get dressed. It's going to be the exact same. We'll just tweak the pronoun a little bit. How do we do that? So because H is treated as a vowel in French, I will write je me habille. The L will be silent because two L's together, that means silent. So je me habille. Tu te habilles. And it goes on like that, the way we conjugate any ER verb. So this is my conjugation. This is how I do pronominal verbs. And all these pronoun, they indicate that who's waking up? I'm waking up, right? So who's getting dressed? I'm getting dressed, right? I am making myself get dressed. And the same thing for the rest of them. Now this is what we call, another name for it is reflexive verbs. And we generally use them when we're describing our daily activities. So when we're describing a routine, right? Like when I say, I woke up, I got dressed, right? Then I brushed my teeth, I took a shower. So everything you're doing to yourself. These are your pronominal verbs and you'll see them very common and you'll find them very commonly when you're describing your routine or your daily activities. Okay? So I hope that much is understandable. So now there's a little topic that is really important if you're trying to make sure you don't make a single mistake in French. That is using pronominal verbs with body parts. So why are we learning this? Because it is a little different from how we do it in English. Now in English, how do we say it? So my is your possessive adjective that we've already covered. So my indicates that you're washing your own hands. So who's washing the hands? I'm washing them. Whose hands? My own. So action is done on myself. So in English, the my indicates that you're talking about a pronominal verb. But in French, it is a little different. How do we do it? So to wash is se laver. Ma is your hands. Now why have I left gaps here? So here I'll place my pronoun, that is me. And then according to English, I should be placing me here, mes. That is, ma is your hands, plural. So we generally supposed to put the adjective possessive mes for it, right? Because your subject is je. So my hands. But because this me is already there, that is already telling you that I am washing my own hands. I'm doing the action on myself. So in French, we don't use the possessive adjective. Instead, we write the. That is your article défini. So instead of writing je me lave mes mains, which is wrong, I write je me lave le main. So I myself wash the hands. Because in English it wasn't telling you. There's no pronoun here. It is implied. But in French it is very clearly mentioned. That is, it's a pronominal verb. So it is clear to you already. So why put adjective possessive here as well? So this is our little rule. It's a small detail, but then again the attention is in the details. Now we come to another important part, that is negative. How do we do negation with the pronominal verbs? Now we know how we make sentences into negative with normal verbs in present tense. I'll just clarify that once for you. So we do ne plus verb plus pas. So I had this sentence, je finis mon travail. So I want to say I did not finish my work. So it will become je ne finis pas mon travail. Now before the verb and pas after your verb. Now when we're doing it with pronominal verbs, we have this little extra thing called the pronoun, which is this, right? All of them. Now the question is, where do they go? Do they come before ne, after ne? That is what we need to understand. Otherwise, your negation might go wrong. So I'll take the sentence. Tu te couches tôt. That is a verb se coucher, to sleep. Who is sleeping? You are sleeping. And you're doing that to yourself, right? So you sleep early. Now I want to say you don't sleep early. So from what I do know, couche is my verb. I should place ne before it and pas after it. But the thing is, that's where you make a mistake. That means pronoun and verb will stay together. So you write it as tu ne te couches pas tôt. That means the ne pas bracket will cover both the pronoun and the verb. So this is my formation. The new thing is that it is subject plus ne plus pronoun, then verb, then pas, and your rest of the sentence, which is your objet. You need to know that you can't separate the verb and the pronoun. The pronoun will always be before the verb, and if the verb is going with ne pas, pronoun goes with it. That much should be in your mind. Now we're just going to do a small exercise to understand how it works. To attempt it, you need to understand one little thing, is that your formation is subject plus pronoun plus verb and whatever is the rest of the sentence. Okay, that doesn't matter to us. So first thing you'll do is you'll look at your subject. So with il, your pronoun is se, no changes. Then you're going to conjugate brosser as it is as an ear verb. So il se brosse. Then your second is you'll look at the subject first thing. So with nous, it becomes nous. And in promener, you'll conjugate as it is in present tense. Promenons is what you get. Then tu, your pronoun will be te. But because abe starts from h, which is a vowel, we write t apostrophe and then you conjugate it. Then you have se lever with vous. The pronoun will be vous and it will be vous levez. Vous vous levez à 6 heures. Finally, this one is a little confusing. First thing you need to understand that it is going to be negative. Okay. Second thing is that you have to conjugate this verb. It is a pronominal verb, which you can tell from the SE. Now in the bracket, generally ne pas is given to you together. And what students do is that they write it as it is, ne pas, and then they'll conjugate it correctly. But it is a standard way of giving it to you. It is your job to put the ne and pas in the correct place. Alright, so how do we do it? It is ne, then as I told you, the pronoun and the verb stay together. So this is what you get. So je ne, with je it becomes me. Then you're going to conjugate dépêcher, that is to hurry up, to hurry oneself up. So it is an AR verb and we write it as with the accent pas. So you get the sentence, je ne me dépêche pas pour prendre l'autobus. Now what were the steps I followed? First you look at the subject. Okay, according to that you pick your pronoun. So here it was il, nous, te, vous and me. That is decided by the subject. So once you look at that, you choose your pronoun. Second thing is to conjugate the pronominal verb normally. Normally means if it's an er verb, you do it like that ir verb, that way, and re verb, the way it is done. And in case it is negative, you have to place the nerpa accordingly, according to this formation that I gave to you. That is, pronoun and verb will stay together, ner before it, pa after it. Now the thing is, if in the bracket the pronoun is not given to you, that means it is not a pronominal verb. And you don't have to put any pronoun in your answer either. If it is given to you in the bracket, they're telling you it's a pronominal verb, and only then are you supposed to write it this way. So now I hope it is clear to you. This was our pronominal verbs, and I explained the whole thing to you. How do we form it? What does it mean? And how do we do negative with it? The little rule that we had, and a little exercise to understand how you actually put it into practice. Thank you.